An Iowa education leader's been watching what's happening in Minnesota and now worrying about her teenage son here. See how George Floyd and Daunte Wright's deaths are impacting her family. Plus why some neighbors in smaller communities seem hesitant to get a COVID-19 vaccination. And in the Insider's Quick Six, what is working well in one Iowa region?
From your local election headquarters, this is the Insiders with Dave Price.
When another black man in Minnesota died after an incident with a police officer, Dwana Bradley worried it's happening again. A police officer shot Daunte Wright after he resisted arrest when officers tried to arrest him on an outstanding warrant for unlawfully possessing a weapon. A year before, George Floyd died after a police officer forced a knee on his neck as police investigated a complaint that Floyd had used a counterfeit bill. Now, following both of these killings, thousands of people have protested in the streets, and some have destroyed property, thrown objects at law enforcement. Dwana Bradley is the editor of Urban Experience magazine. She's a former teacher, chair of the Des Moines School Board, and a parent of a college-age daughter and a high school-age son. Here's what she thought following Wright's death.
That's the first thought that goes through my mind is like, what else can happen there, you know, to this state for them to be able to endure this? But then my heart goes out to people who look like me. I mean, we hold so much in. So what you're seeing, and a lot of people go, well, they're tearing things up and they're causing all this destruction. Just imagine seeing things constantly, day after day after day, or experiencing things, whether you're at work or, you know, whatever, and you hold those things in because you don't normally let those things out. And what you're seeing in Minnesota is exactly that. We've held stuff in for so long, and we've kept quiet for so long, and we've tried to hope and pray that things will change. And then this happens, and after you've just held it in for so long, you're going to react. And we all will react to this differently. And for me, it's been tears. You know, for me, it's been frustration. And for me, it's just been trying to answer the question that I think we're still trying to answer today, is why.
Well, you're a woman of color, but you're raising a young man.
Yes.
So how does that impact you?
Every day, it impacts me. My son is at driving age, so he can drive, and every time he leaves that house, the image that comes in my mind of him getting stopped is that it could end his life. There's not a time he doesn't leave my house that I'm not concerned for his safety. Because when I think about Daunte and the fact that he called his mom, it's the exact same thing my son would do.
When he got stopped?
Yeah, when he got stopped, he called his mom. My son would do the exact same thing. My son accidentally just bumped into somebody and freaked out and came straight home, and I was like, you can't ever do that again, you know, but because he knows that I'm the place to turn to that will bring him comfort, because mom's gonna tell you what to do. Mom's gonna tell you the right thing to do, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be okay. And I thought about Daunte, and I thought about my son. He would have called me, and he would have done exactly what I would have said. Stay there, just do whatever they need. If I need to talk to them, I'll do it. And to tell your child all the right things to do, and for it to cost them their lives. Yeah, there's not a black mother in the city or this state or in the United States that doesn't have the same feelings that I have when we watch our sons go out the door, because we don't know if it's going to be their last moment. And you always want to make sure I love you, let me know if you need and everything, but I shouldn't have to feel that way when my son walks out the door. And I feel it every single time he leaves me. And I see images in my mind every time he walks away from me.
At the magazine, you're trying to lead more deeper conversations about a lot of issues when it comes to particularly issues as they impact people of color.
Yes.
As you step back on this, and you're sharing the story about your concerns about your son, we saw all those marches last summer here. In some cases, we saw that frustration, as you talk about, boil over, where there was destruction, violence, that kind of stuff. So we're now a year after this almost. And of course, we've had COVID in the middle of this too.
Right.
Are you seeing anything where conversations are different, or is really nothing any different than it was before George Floyd got killed?
I think COVID gave us a pause a little bit, and I think what COVID did was it woke us up to the reality that we as Blacks know have always existed. Now you're seeing it in living color. I think we're at a point to where we're getting to a point to where we're trying to figure out, how does this change? What do we need to do? We're having more conversations. I'm a big proponent of conversations. A lot of people are tired of talking, and I completely understand that. But I think it's the conversations that we get to connect with each other on this deeper level that says, okay, when I hear you, I can feel you. I can look in your eyes and I can understand. I can see your pain. I can feel your frustration. What can I do to help? And I think we're getting more people who want to help. More organizations, more businesses that are saying, we're not going to tolerate this type of behavior. What can we do to help? And I think that's that's a great start. What can you do to help so that we can start to elevate this to a point to where we need to change? And I think it starts with conversation.
Okay, you're the chair of the Des Moines School Board. So you talked about what's been exposed during COVID here. Well, some of the things that have been exposed are educational access. So the Des Moines district in particular, where you were having students learn remotely that whole time, that in a lot of ways that the quality of the education can be dependent on home life, access to technology, whether the child has somebody to kind of lead him or her through this, depending on how the setup is. But as you know, there are health disparities that have been brought out here, maternal health, access to vaccines, transportation to go get vaccine, all those kind of things. So where can you point to any progress that has been made?
I think the progress happens now because we've learned tons of lessons. I believe, for myself, we focus so much on safety, and let's just be honest, here in Des Moines, that was the #1 priority for us, was safety. But then as I continued to focus on safety, I said, but then what about the access to technology? What about the fact that if I bring you back into school, now I might expose you to the virus, and that could impact you too. So I was in this spot where people who look like me were going to be impacted by this no matter what. And I think what I see now is the reflection back of, were there mistakes that were made? Of course. Like if one person doesn't say, oh, no, we did everything right. We did not, But I think what we do now is we look back and reflect and say, oh, those are some areas where we could have done that differently. Or maybe we should have handled it this way. So where going forward, you won't see that. But I think what COVID did was it brought up all those things that you mentioned to the light. So now it's our job as a district to say, how are we going to address those issues for our students so that they don't deal with that? What are we going to do now to push them forward so that they can be successful? We've got a year of education loss to make up for. But when you think about that, for people who look like me, it's more like 3 years of educational loss if you were already behind 2 years. Now we've got 3 years, maybe 4 years of educational. So what are we going to do for our students to push them there? And I think now we're starting to have those conversations. It's unfortunate that the pandemic had to bring all of this to the fold.
Up next, the hesitancy to get vaccinated against that health pandemic that's killed nearly 6,000 Iowans. Iowa counties put in a request every week. It goes to the State Department of Public Health, and they ask how much of the Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson doses that they want for the coming week. But for these 20 counties here in the red there, this past week they said they didn't want any more. Obviously, it's been a huge change from what the situation was a couple of weeks ago when vaccines were in such short supply.
We've moved from it being a really scarce supply to which required a ton of patience. And now we're moving into a space where we really do need to focus on talking with these Iowans who may be on the fence about taking the vaccines or who now have questions, which is completely normal. This means shifting our focus from large clinics to a more targeted strategy with an equity lens.
Now, Carroll County was not one of those 20. They did want more. They have about 20,000 people who live around there. They've already hosted some mass vaccination clinics. Now, when the health leaders were hosting another one this past week for 1,000 people, they had a problem that they hadn't had before, and that's that they weren't getting enough people signing up to get these shots. I asked Doug Burns what was going on. His family has owned regional newspapers around Carroll and Jefferson for decades.
I just think there's a reluctance in rural areas that we're seeing nationally that is leading to fewer people in my part of the state being willing to get the vaccine. I would say we have 58% of adults in Carroll County with at least one vaccine in their arm. So we've done pretty well there. Our local public health officials, local hospital officials have done a really good job of getting the word out. And then we still have strong local radio and our newspaper to get the information out. A lot of rural areas don't have that, Dave.
Well, what's behind the reluctance, do you think?
Well, a woman we both know from Burlington, Elaine Godfrey, who writes for The Atlantic, she reports that rural Americans are twice as likely to not get the vaccine. So a lot of it, as we know, is based on the red-blue partisan polling. So this is a decidedly red area, and when you just get pummeled and pummeled and pummeled and pummeled with misinformation over, really since the inception of Facebook, but with COVID over the last 14 months, there are a lot of people who didn't believe in COVID. So they're certainly not going to go out and, get a Johnson & Johnson shot and risk getting a blood clot.
What's the last year been like in the region, would you say?
It's been challenging, but I think we're resilient. I think it has, in some ways, brought us together. You've seen people really stepping up and helping other people, but it's also shown that remote work, can be effective. So our hope here in rural areas is that more industries will decentralize, and the jobs that are being done where you're sitting right now in Des Moines could be done in Carroll or Jefferson or Guthrie Center or Denison.
Is that legit? I've heard people talk about that idea and that optimism. Are there any signs that that's actually happening? I've seen people speculate, well, hey, if Twitter is allowing people to work remotely, why not convince somebody living in California paying an unbelievable mortgage every month or unbelievable rent, come live in Carroll County, Jefferson County, where you can live for a fraction of that, still make good money and have a good life? Are you seeing any signs that anybody's actually doing that yet?
I have specific examples of that. I talked to a young man who's a friend of a friend and his girlfriend who lived in the California region, and he's now moved to the greater Des Moines area to work for Amazon, and he maintains his California salary. And then we've been working with Congressman Ro Khanna from California, who represents Silicon Valley, and they have a problem very different than rural Iowa, Dave. They have too many people concentrated, housing costs through the roof, and Congressman Khanna, and I share this belief with him, that the way to stitch the country back together, our fractured, polarized country, is to have rural America share in some of the modern job growth, some of the digital job growth. So in Jefferson, we have an Accenture software branch company of Forge, and it's tied to Iowa Central Community College, Des Moines Area Community College, and we have a number of young people in the pipeline for really high-tech jobs there. And these aren't data center jobs. These aren't jobs, in warehouses. I mean, these are $60, $70, $80,000 a year jobs, Dave, that you don't need a college degree for. I would also say that I think broadband in Carroll and in many rural areas, certainly the narrative is that there are areas that are underserved, but in our community we have extraordinary broadband, and we often have comments from people from larger areas. They can't believe how quickly we can ship or download large files.
Well, once you get outside of Carroll and Jefferson and the larger communities there, are there pockets where this is an issue? And if so, are people there paying attention to this debate in the legislature following the governor's plan to try to get $450 million put into broadband expansion? Is that something that connects with people?
I think it definitely connects with people, particularly parents who've had to deal with remote learning and some of those challenges. And, our agricultural community is, really tied to technology and science, which, demands the high-speed internet. So I think that's a terrific initiative that will have bipartisan support and will really help rebuild parts of the state that are even more rural than Carroll. Our mutual friend Kyle Munson talked about during this COVID issue right now with vaccinations. A lot of people are going to smaller communities. I actually got vaccinated in Corning several weeks ago because they had more doses available. So this has kind of created a rural tourism boon in a way. I know a lot of other people from your area and larger communities in Iowa are going to smaller towns to get vaccinations, and hopefully they spy other opportunities for development that can be enhanced by the extension of broadband.
Straight ahead, there's a position that some of his neighbors have that Doug Burns says he just does not understand. Facilities in Texas are overcrowded as scores of undocumented migrants are crossing the southern border. Many of them are children. They don't have any parents around them. Some of them have been sick with COVID-19. Iowa's Governor Kim Reynolds said she does not want them in this state. Doug Burns watches and listens to all the conversations, and he told me that he just does not understand some of the comments some of his neighbors have made about this.
I've long thought that's been one of the tragedies and the real disconnects in large parts of rural Iowa, Dave, that people don't understand the connection between immigration and economic vitality. So they are holding two views that are diametrically opposed. I mean, they're culturally and politically, they're hostile to immigration, but yet the reality on Main Street and in economic development groups is that we are absolutely desperate for immigration. We had a spike in unemployment rates during COVID in the the latter part of 2020, or in the spring of 2020, when it soared up to close to double digits. But now we're back down to 2 to 3%, and we are just hungering and desperate for people, for employees. So we need to get that problem corrected, and we need to do a better job of educating people about the necessity of having good, strong legal immigration in our part of the state.
The Insider's Quick Six is next, and Doug will be back with what he says needs attention in Western Iowa and also what seems to be working well. Time now for the Insider's Quick Six. Let's bring back Doug Burns. Question one: what has the pandemic most exposed about a significant weakness in your region of the state?
Definitely income inequality. It's definitely showed that capitalism's winners and losers are not always based on hard work. That there's definitely a element of good luck, or certainly bad luck.
Question two: what is something Democrats need to do to become more relevant?
Spend more time in rural areas and come up with messaging that they don't have to explain. If you have to explain your messaging, like defund the police, for example, you're losing.
Question three: who would you say are the top maybe one or two influential leaders in the region?
In Western Iowa, I think you have to go with Tom Vilsack as U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. I mean, the position that he has right now, I think he is he will be a force for rural Iowa, and I think you'll see some new markets and opportunities for revenue open up for farmers that will serve Mr. Biden very well.
All right, let's do something optimistic here. Question four: what do you think is working especially well in the region right now?
I think our local community groups. We still have really strong churches who are doing yeomanship work during the pandemic, and our social clubs and economic development groups. There still is even in this fractured country, there's a lot of us are rowing together in rural communities, Dave.
Question 5, especially in this day and age, it's particularly difficult to be in the newspaper business, and yet you're part of a group of them. Why do you do what you do for a living?
I guess because I'm a fourth generation journalist, and it's I never got married, never had kids. It's not something I sought out to do, but this newspaper is like a living, breathing family member to me, and I'm going to do everything to make sure that we're still printing and we're still publishing and informing the public. It's my life's work, and I don't intend to give it up.
All right, finally, your prediction.
So I predict that the Iowa caucuses on the Democratic side will remain first, but I don't necessarily think that we will go alone. I think there might be an initial one-day caucus and primary season opener with Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. And practically speaking, on the Democratic side, with Biden likely to run for re-election in 24, Harris being well positioned, we really may not have a competitive primary and caucus season, a nominating season on the Democratic side until 2035 or 2036.
Maybe the first in the nation is the first 4 next time. All right, time for our Insiders Twitter poll question of the week. Do you believe law enforcement unfairly treats people of color? Get on there, cast your vote, and if you choose underneath, you can leave a comment. Go to my Twitter at @IDavePrice. Thanks for being with us this week. Let's stay connected throughout the week, and we'll see you for the Insiders next week.